Welcome to the channel, where today we unravel one of the most mysterious and spine-tingling enigmas in American numismatic history, a story so baffling, so electrifying, and so drenched in historical suspense that it could very well alter everything you thought you knew about pocket change, because what if a small mistake, a barely perceptible slip in the colossal machinery of the United States Mint, resulted in the most valuable coin ever struck, a 1982 D. Jefferson nickel that has become the stuff of legend, shrouded in secrecy, and hunted by collectors like a holy grail, not because it was minted in gold or platinum or some foreign alloy, but because something went so inexplicably wrong during its production that it gave birth to a rare anomaly that shouldn't exist at all, and yet whispers of it echo through auction houses, dusty coin shops, private vaults, and numismatic conventions with an intensity that borders on obsession, because this isn't just about a coin, this is about a confluence of error, history, and fate, a perfect storm that occurred at the Denver Mint in 1982, a year already steeped in chaos as the U.S. economy reeled from inflation and the mint itself was undergoing changes in composition and striking processes, a year when coin production was pushed to its limits and quality control was being challenged like never before. And amid all this turbulence emerged a handful of Jefferson nickels struck with such rare errors, clashed dies, missing layers, wrong planchets, overstrikes, misaligned hubs, double dies so dramatic they contorted Jefferson's image into an almost ghostly doppelganger, that the resulting pieces have been described not merely as coins, but as accidents of destiny, tokens that somehow slipped through the cracks of a government system designed to catch every imperfection, and yet these anomalies were so extraordinary, so impossible under normal circumstances, that theories began to emerge suggesting that perhaps they weren't just accidents at all. Perhaps a disgruntled mint worker had tinkered with the dies, or maybe an experimental batch meant for internal testing had been mistakenly released into circulation, or, most tantalizing of all, perhaps there existed a secret initiative within the mint, known only to a select few, to test hybrid materials or unauthorized die pairings, and some of these Frankenstein coins, these forbidden specimens, escaped into the public's hands under the cover of bureaucratic confusion, and among these speculative ghosts, the 1982 D. Jefferson nickel stands as the crown jewel, the coin that breaks all logic, because although tens of millions of nickels were struck at Denver that year, only a minuscule fraction bear the hallmarks of these otherworldly flaws, and those that do possess them have shocked even the most seasoned graders and experts, with one particular specimen surfacing at a Texas estate sale and drawing bids exceeding six figures due to a strange doubling that gave Jefferson's face a surreal, dreamlike distortion, as though peering through a fogged lens into another reality, while another coin, discovered in a roll purchased from a rural convenience store, contained both the 1982 D mint mark and an unprecedented lamination error that split the surface like cracked ice, revealing the inner composition of the coin, copper where there should have been none, or nickel alloy misblended in a way that suggested a planchet mix-up with a foreign coinage order, raising questions about whether the Denver Mint had been temporarily producing coins for another government under contract, and if so, how a few of these planchets made their way into U.S. circulation and were stamped with Jefferson's image by mistake, and as these coins began surfacing, always in isolated incidents, from the bottom of forgotten drawers, in coffee cans inherited from grandparents, or in old piggy banks cracked open by curious grandchildren, the numismatic community erupted with theories, forums were flooded with blurry photos and heated debates, and top experts from PCGS and NGC were brought in to examine them under extreme magnification, some declaring them authentic and unprecedented, others cautiously hedging, suggesting that more research was needed, but all agreed on one point: these coins were not normal, and their existence hinted at a deeper mystery. Perhaps even a series of cover-ups at the mint where documentation of certain dies or planchets had been scrubbed or misplaced. And while the official mint records for 1982 show nothing unusual, no admissions of error, no anomalies logged, insiders have anonymously claimed that certain coin batches were indeed pulled from circulation and quietly destroyed, yet a few had already made their escape, and if true, this would mean that every surviving 1982 D error nickel represents not just a rare coin, but a piece of forbidden history, an artifact that the government may have tried to erase, and with each new find, the market explodes anew, collectors mortgaging homes to buy what they believe might be the last surviving example, dealers engaging in hushed backroom negotiations, even tales of collectors refusing to part with their specimens for any price, believing they hold something more valuable than money itself, a piece of American myth in metallic form, and as this frenzy grows, so does the mystery. Why is it that certain 1982 D nickels exhibit traits from both pre- and post-composition changes, as though two timelines were merging on a single coin, and why do some specimens bear reverse designs misaligned to such a degree that the Monticello appears stretched, almost melting off the coin like Dolly's clocks, and how did one particular coin discovered in Ohio appear to have a partial imprint of a 1982 Lincoln cent fused into its edge, as though the two coins were struck simultaneously by a rogue die set? And could it be that someone inside the mint had engineered these hybrids as part of a covert test, a test never meant to see the light of day, or are these all just the chaotic results of an overworked system pushed past the brink, its machinery spitting out miracles by accident, and if so, why do so few exist, and why do they all carry the D mint mark, as if Denver alone was the epicenter of a clandestine minting phenomenon, and now, over 4 decades later, the hunt for the perfect 1982 D Jefferson nickel has become the obsession of a generation, with stories emerging of collectors dedicating their lives to finding just one, scanning every roll from banks, bribing tellers, even traveling cross-country on rumors of a hoarded collection buried beneath floorboards in a condemned house, and while some may scoff and say it's just a 5-cent piece, to those in the know, it's far more, it's a key, a cipher, a mystery waiting to be solved, a challenge to the accepted narrative of what a coin can be. And the deeper we dig, the more layers we uncover, like the recent revelation that a handful of 1982 D nickels appear to exhibit micro-engraved numbers beneath the Monticello dome, numbers that match nothing in the mint's databases but seem to follow a Fibonacci sequence, raising suspicions that someone inside the mint was leaving behind a mathematical breadcrumb trail, and whether that was done as a prank, a cry for help, or a coded message, no one knows for sure. But what is certain is this: the 1982 D Jefferson nickel is no ordinary coin, it is a gateway to a larger story, a story of human error, institutional mystery, collector passion, and the relentless pursuit of truth in a world where even the smallest object can hold unimaginable secrets. And as you watch this story unfold, keep your eyes sharp and your mind open, because the next extraordinary discovery might be hiding in plain sight, in your change jar, your glove box, or your pocket. And if you find it, you won't just be holding a nickel, you'll be holding history, and perhaps even the most valuable mistake the US Mint has ever made. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned as we continue this electrifying journey into the untold depths of numismatic wonder. Next, 1992 D Jefferson, where today we plunge headfirst into the numismatic rabbit hole that has stunned even the most seasoned experts, as we explore the jaw-dropping mystery behind the 1992 D Jefferson nickel, a coin that on the surface appears utterly ordinary, yet hides secrets so explosive they've triggered global bidding wars, shattered price records, and left collectors breathless. All because of a whisper-thin mistake that may have made it the most valuable coin ever struck in the United States. And as we peel back the layers of its tangled history, you're going to ask yourself, what if a tiny error at the Denver Mint in 1992 changed everything, creating a rare anomaly so elusive that only a handful may exist, if even that? And what if this error remained buried for decades, hidden in pocket change, bank rolls, or forgotten drawers before being thrust into the spotlight after a single shocking discovery sent ripples through the numismatic world, igniting fierce debates, government silence, and conspiracy-level intrigue, because what began as a routine strike of the Jefferson nickel turned into a numismatic enigma thanks to the convergence of multiple improbable factors: an outdated die possibly pulled from an old vault, misaligned during production and reused unintentionally, coupled with a planchet anomaly so subtle that it escaped quality control, resulting in a coin that defied minting protocol and gave rise to the legend of a 1992 D Jefferson nickel, bearing design traits from an entirely different minting generation. And the implications are mind-blowing, as experts began to speculate whether the reverse design on this coin accidentally reflected an earlier version used in proofs or test strikes, suggesting the mint might have been experimenting behind the scenes or covering up a production mistake. And what's more staggering is that rumors persist about internal memos and hush-hush warnings issued to employees about never speaking of certain coins that were struck outside of authorized minting parameters, with whispers that someone on the inside smuggled a few out before the error batch was caught and destroyed. And while official records remain silent or frustratingly vague, collectors who've encountered this coin, or believe they have, speak with trembling reverence about tiny, almost imperceptible details. Sharper Monticello steps than ever seen on a circulated 1992 D, ghost-like doubling around the rim lettering, or an unusual texture that seems to shimmer under magnification, leading some to believe these nickels were struck under atypical pressure or with experimental materials, and just when the intrigue couldn't get thicker, one coin surfaced at a Midwest estate sale, nearly tossed into a junk pile until a sharp-eyed collector spotted something off, and once the coin was inspected, photographed, and quietly shown to a handful of trusted numismatists, the reaction was explosive, because several believed this might not just be an error coin, but the holy grail of Jefferson nickels, the first confirmed instance of a transitional die strike from 1992 at the Denver Mint with reverse characteristics belonging to a different era, possibly even mistakenly using a proof die never meant for general circulation, and as theories exploded across online forums, numismatic circles, and even the darker corners of coin-collecting chat groups, stories began surfacing of other similar coins spotted in circulation decades ago, but dismissed due to lack of awareness, raising the tantalizing question, how many of these ghosts of the mint might still be out there, hiding in coin jars, estate collections, or deep storage, waiting to be unearthed, and if found, what price could they command? Thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions if bidding fever were ignited by the confirmation of mint-induced rarity. And as experts began comparing notes, analyzing die markers, planchet surfaces, and metadata surrounding the production timeline of the Denver Mint in 1992, something odd came to light, a sudden, unexplained gap in the die replacement records from mid-year, overlapping with a spike in rejected test coins that mysteriously disappeared from official logs, leading some to suspect a wider cover-up or at least internal chaos that may have opened the door for this extraordinary anomaly. And the story grows even wilder when retired Mint employees came forward, anonymously, with cryptic comments alluding to the nickel we were never supposed to talk about, referencing a secretive batch that vanished under unusual circumstances, and while some dismiss this as urban legend, the mounting circumstantial evidence suggests a deeper narrative, one of bureaucratic missteps, hurried decisions, and perhaps even intentional silence surrounding a coin that technically shouldn't exist but unmistakably does. And the ripple effects of this revelation have turned the 1992 D. Jefferson nickel into one of the most enigmatic coins in U.S. history, rivaling the mystery and fame of the 1943 copper penny or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, and as high-resolution scans, microscopic imaging, and metallurgical analysis begin confirming anomalies in multiple supposed specimens, speculation reaches fever pitch. Is this a rogue coin created by accident? Or could it be part of an unreleased commemorative test batch that was never meant to escape the mint, and what if its survival challenges everything we thought we knew about minting protocols, oversight, and record-keeping, because if a coin like this can slip through, unnoticed for decades, what else is out there, still hiding beneath the radar, and could this discovery be the first of many that rewrites American coinage history, unlocking a new wave of hidden treasures just waiting to be uncovered by ordinary people who dare to look closely at what others ignore? And as collectors scramble, roll hunters obsess, and auction houses prepare for the moment one of these nickels hits the open market, potentially sparking a bidding war of historic proportions, we must ask ourselves, are we witnessing the rise of a new numismatic titan, a coin born of chance, error, and silence, now roaring into the spotlight with a value that defies logic and an origin story as tangled and compelling as any treasure hunt ever told? And if you're holding a 1992 D. Jefferson nickel right now, could you be in possession of the next $1,000,000 coin, unknowingly cradling a slice of American minting history born of mistake, mystery, and misdirection? And if so, what would you do? Sell it, keep it, hide it, or send it for authentication that might explode its value overnight? Because this is not just a coin, it's a question mark etched in nickel and copper, a whisper from the past begging to be decoded. A relic from a moment when the machinery of government faltered just long enough to birth a legend, and it's up to us, the collectors, the truth seekers, the dreamers with magnifying glasses and a love for history, to bring its story into the light. So stay with us, keep watching, because the 1992 D. Jefferson nickel might just be the rarest treasure hiding in plain sight, and the next person to find one could be you. So if you're fascinated, curious, or even just holding your change a little tighter now, don't forget to like, subscribe, And join us for more incredible coin stories that could change your life. With just a single discovery. Next, 1977, D. Jefferson, where today we pull back the velvet curtain on a story so electrifying, so steeped in mystery, and so drenched in suspense that it challenges everything we thought we knew about modern coinage. What if a single overlooked error during a routine minting process in 1977 transformed an ordinary Jefferson nickel into one of the most valuable coins ever struck? A 1977 D. Jefferson nickel that carries within its humble copper-nickel shell the weight of conspiracy, coincidence, and perhaps even intentional sabotage, a coin that vanished into circulation and re-emerged decades later like a ghost from the past, leaving behind a trail of whispers, redacted government documents, and numismatists who have risked reputations and fortunes chasing its elusive truth, because this is no ordinary 5-cent piece. This is the stuff of legend, where a single die misalignment, an unexpected alloy mix-up, or a double-struck minting mishap may have quietly birthed a coin worth millions. And as we dig through the layers of its enigmatic past, the historical context unfolds like pages torn from a thriller novel, with Denver Mint workers in the late 1970s operating under immense production pressure, the U.S. economy riddled with inflation, coinage demands reaching historic highs, and rumors swirling about experimental planchets being tested and discarded improperly. So when one rogue batch of Jefferson nickels in 1977 bore subtle deviations, planchets slightly thicker than usual, devices misaligned just enough to throw off precision collectors, and a handful showing what experts now believe to be shadowy overstrikes of a foreign denomination, it lit a firestorm in the numismatic world, prompting whispers of a lost prototype batch, unauthorized test strikes, and even the shocking possibility of mule errors slipping through due to a swap in reverse dies. And while the average eye would see only a worn-out nickel, keen-eyed collectors began noticing that one coin in particular had a date that seemed ever so slightly doubled, a mint mark that appeared punched twice at conflicting angles, and an odd metallic hue that hinted at the wrong planchet being used altogether, setting off a treasure hunt spanning decades, with retired mint employees anonymously confirming in hushed tones that in 1977, a mysterious equipment malfunction led to thousands of coins being scrapped. And yet not all of them were accounted for, leading to speculation that a small batch of these flawed yet legally struck coins entered circulation unnoticed, their existence denied, records erased, and the value climbing with each new fragment of evidence unearthed by collectors whose obsession became lifeblood, combing flea markets, estate sales, and forgotten dresser drawers in hopes of finding the unicorn among nickels. And as the story deepens, so too does the intrigue, because one coin, discovered in a Midwest pawn shop in the late 1990s, tested anomalously high in silver content despite no official record of silver planchets being used that year, raising even darker questions about whether secret test strikes were conducted using leftover silver blanks from pre-1965 quarters, or whether the U.S. Mint had contracted out experimental metallurgy trials during the Cold War era that somehow merged into regular coinage runs. And when this coin surfaced again at a private auction in 2008 and was quietly purchased for a sum far beyond its estimated worth, the buyer's identity was shielded behind a wall of NDAs and shell corporations, fueling even wilder speculation that the coin may represent more than just an error. It might be a token from a classified operation, an emblem accidentally minted in the wrong place, or a numismatic artifact so rare that its true story has been buried beneath layers of bureaucratic secrecy. And numismatic experts from across the globe, from Tokyo to Berlin to New York, have weighed in, offering conflicting yet equally compelling theories about how such a coin could exist. Some claim it's the result of a die rotation gone unnoticed due to a fatigued quality control team at the Denver Mint in the summer heatwave of '77. Others propose that it was the byproduct of an intentional act by a disgruntled employee seeking to leave behind a legacy in metal, and still others believe that the coin is not from 1977 at all, but from a misdated die intended for an entirely different run, possibly commemorative or even foreign aid coinage redirected into domestic channels. And this theory gains traction with the tale of a coin dealer in El Paso who swears he saw, decades ago, a Jefferson nickel with reverse markings more closely resembling those of a Canadian 5-cent piece, a story dismissed until 2015 when a coin with similar traits appeared online, only to be taken down within hours and never seen again. And with each new twist, the legend of the 1977 D. Jefferson nickel grows more confounding, more alluring, As collectors trade stories in dimly lit hotel rooms at national coin shows, where rumors of one such coin trading hands for $2.3 million have only added kerosene to the fire, and some even speculate that the coin's true origin ties into a batch of experimental error coins minted as part of an internal U.S. Treasury training program that never saw the light of day, but somehow, through human error or deliberate mischief, found their way into pocket change, and as government archivists quietly refused to release files related to 1977 coinage anomalies, citing national security clauses, and as former mint directors refuse interviews on the record, claiming legal constraints, the myth only thickens, because what government agency places national security designations on obsolete 5-cent pieces unless there's something far more explosive hidden within the story? And then there's the jaw-dropping twist in 2020, when a collector from Wyoming submitted a 1977 D nickel for grading. And it returned not only with a double die obverse designation but with unexplained microscopic indentations forming a near-invisible pattern of numbers and letters, numbers that, when decrypted by a hobbyist cryptographer, corresponded with known coordinates to a decommissioned U.S. Mint facility in Nevada, adding a layer of spy-novel intrigue to what should have been a simple pocket change coin, and to this day, no one can definitively say how many of these anomaly-rich 1977 D nickels exist. With estimates ranging from fewer than 10 to a few dozen, and the fact that each newly discovered specimen shows a slightly different error, off-center strikes, partial collar strikes, overstruck foreign coins, or even rotated reverses, has led some to believe that we're dealing not with a single error, but a wide-reaching, multifaceted minting event that was never meant to be made public. And for every collector who claims to have seen one, there are dozens more who have spent years combing through hundreds of pounds of nickels, hoping to find the Holy Grail, because holding this coin is like holding a piece of forbidden history, a metallic fragment of a story so convoluted and so steeped in conflicting accounts that even the Smithsonian has privately expressed interest in obtaining one for forensic analysis, yet none of the known owners are willing to part with theirs, as if the coins themselves exert a mythic pull over their possessors, and perhaps the most shocking twist came when one such nickel, believed to be just another anomaly, was X-rayed and revealed what appeared to be layered stamping beneath the visible image, suggesting a coin struck over another coin, or possibly even over an uncirculated medallion meant for military use, and that discovery reignited theories that the coin was part of a covert operation, perhaps minted using discarded blanks from classified metal production, or even embedded with micrometallurgical markers for tracking in intelligence operations. And if that sounds outlandish, consider this. Multiple owners of these mysterious 1977 D. Jefferson nickels have reported being approached by unidentified individuals offering double their estimated value in cash on the spot, then disappearing, leaving behind only cryptic business cards or disconnected phone numbers, and one collector, now retired, claims he was warned not to publicly discuss the coin by what he described as men in federal uniforms who showed up at his home asking to borrow the coin for metallurgical testing, after which it was never returned and all documentation regarding the visit was mysteriously deleted from his security system, and so the question remains, what really happened at the Denver Mint in 1977, how many coins escaped, and what secrets do they still hold, and as the value of these enigmatic nickels skyrockets, with private sales rumored to eclipse the $1 million mark and underground collectors' circles forming solely around the pursuit of this coin, we're left to wonder whether the 1977 D. Jefferson nickel is merely the result of a strange convergence of minting errors, or something far more complex, layered, and intentional, perhaps a breadcrumb trail left by a forgotten engineer or a historical artifact of a program that never officially existed, and until the final coin is found, until the last unexplained marking is deciphered, the legend lives on, growing darker, deeper, and more irresistible by the day. So if you're still watching, still captivated, still wondering whether you might have one of these astonishing coins sitting unnoticed in a jar at home, then now is the time to look closer, dig deeper, and subscribe, because this mystery is far from over, and the next chapter could begin with you. Next 2001, P. Jefferson. What if a small mistake during a routine minting operation at the Philadelphia Mint in 2001 led to the accidental creation of the most valuable Jefferson nickel ever struck, a coin so elusive, so mysterious, so shrouded in controversy that collectors have spent decades hunting it down with obsession that borders on madness, a coin whose story begins not with intention, But with a whisper of error in the vast machinery of the United States Mint, where one misaligned die, one misfed planchet, one unnoticed die clash or double strike, may have birthed a 2001 P. Jefferson nickel unlike any other, a coin so rare and unusual that even the most experienced numismatists question whether it should even exist, and yet the whispers persist, growing louder each year, fueled by hushed conversations in coin shows, cryptic online forum posts, and first-hand accounts from anonymous collectors claiming to have seen a coin that defies logic, a coin with doubling so severe the inscriptions appear ghost-like, a coin with a mint mark that seems slightly off-center and suspect, almost as if it was punched manually under rushed or secretive circumstances, a coin where Monticello's steps dissolve into an unexplainable blur, or where Jefferson's profile bears eerie marks, die gouges, retained cut scars, and spectral die breaks that shouldn't be possible with a modern minting press, and yet they're there. Or so the rumors say, and behind every story is the haunting question. Was this coin a mistake, or was it something else entirely, something more deliberate, perhaps even a test strike, a pattern piece, a rogue die combination intended never to leave the mint's secure vaults but somehow, through bureaucratic oversight or deliberate sabotage, escaped into circulation and now lies hidden in a forgotten coin jar, waiting to be found, and we must ask ourselves, how did this happen in 2001? A year not commonly associated with numismatic anomalies, a year when the mint was supposedly operating with tight quality control, yet coincidentally also a year of dramatic changes and internal audits, of personnel shifts, of rushed production runs to meet demand during a time when coin shortages began creeping back into regional economies, and could it be that amidst the chaos, a small batch of coins, perhaps struck on leftover planchets, perhaps using outdated dies, perhaps even struck off metal, slipped past inspection and entered circulation, and if so, where are they now, and why has no one officially confirmed their existence despite tantalizing eBay listings that vanish within hours, despite authentication experts refusing to comment on certain anomalies submitted privately, and despite collectors spending thousands on rolls of 2001 nickels in the hopes of finding one with the telltale errors that experts describe in hushed tones only at closed-door conventions? And it is here that the story deepens, branching into theories so wild yet so compelling that they demand exploration, from whispers of a rogue employee swapping out planchets to test a new alloy, to stories of a damaged die used in error that produced a handful of coins with shadow Jefferson profiles, double-headed or ghosted features, that circulated briefly before being mysteriously bought back and destroyed, but not all of them, according to one retired mint security supervisor who claimed, under anonymity, that a few strange strikes left the premises in a bag of standard issue nickels and were never recovered, leading to decades of searching by elite collectors and conspiracy theorists alike, some of whom believe these coins were not errors but coded test pieces linked to government contracts or even early biometric embedding trials, and while that may sound unbelievable, remember that history is filled with examples of experimental coinage and secret testing. Just look at the 1943 copper penny or the 1974 aluminum cent, and so the possibility that the 2001 P. Jefferson nickel may harbor a similarly wild backstory is not just plausible, it's likely, especially when we look at the mounting anecdotal evidence, the 2001 P. nickel found in Florida with clear doubling and a warped edge that experts couldn't fully explain, the Arkansas hoard where one collector found 5 nickels with off-center strikes and unlisted die varieties, the Tennessee sighting of a nickel with a mirror-like proof finish despite being struck at the Philadelphia Mint where no proofs were made. That year, and each of these stories, when taken separately, could be dismissed, but together they weave a tapestry of intrigue that demands attention, especially when factoring in numismatic trends and the recent explosion in value for other error coins, because in an age where a 1955 double die cent can sell for over $100,000 and certain state quarter errors have surpassed 6 figures, the market for extreme anomalies is hotter than ever, and yet the 2001 P. Jefferson nickel remains elusive. With just enough documented oddities to spark global interest but never enough confirmation to close the book, making it perhaps the most tantalizing modern mystery in U.S. coinage, a numismatic ghost story whispered from collector to collector, where each new discovery adds a piece to a puzzle that refuses to be solved, and where speculation feeds frenzy. Was there a transitional error involving leftover 2000 dies used on 2001 planchets, or perhaps 2001 coins struck on foreign blanks intended for another country's denomination, as happened in the infamous 2000 Sacagawea dollar on a quarter blank, and if so, what is the true value of such a coin, not just in monetary terms but in historical significance, as a symbol of minting fallibility, hidden truths, and the undying human obsession with what lies just beyond reach, because the 2001 P. Jefferson nickel, in all its mystery, taps into something primal, the need to find meaning in anomalies, to uncover buried secrets, to possess what no one else can, and in this quest, the lines between myth and reality blur, driven by emotional investment and the seductive power of possibility, and as we trace the journey of these mysterious nickels from production floor to pocket change, from lost rolls to framed auction lots, from ignored drawer finds to viral YouTube videos, we begin to see that this story is not just about a coin but about the people drawn into its orbit, collectors who sacrificed relationships and careers chasing a single error coin, dealers who claimed to hold one but refused to sell, auction houses that listed one under coded descriptions only to delist it without explanation, and forensic metallurgists who tested suspect nickels and found trace elements inconsistent with standard mint composition, raising even more questions. Was this coin struck on a planchet from an experimental alloy? Was it part of a short-lived plan to phase out nickel content? Or was it the result of a clandestine collaboration with a private contractor? These are not idle questions but deeply researched possibilities supported by documentation buried in obscure reports, Freedom of Information Act requests, and insider interviews, and the further we dig, the deeper the mystery grows, spiraling into a tale of high-stakes collecting, hidden caches, and sudden wealth as those who believe in the coin's potential scour estate sales, bankrolls, and mint bags in search of the golden ticket, and now the stakes are higher than ever, as recent auction estimates suggest that a verified 2001 P. Jefferson nickel with confirmed extreme minting errors could be worth upwards of $2 million or more, especially if linked to the rumored off-metal strike or undocumented proof-like variant, and yet even as values soar, the U.S. Mint remains publicly silent, denying knowledge of any such anomaly while quietly redacting internal memos from 2001 production reviews, and this silence, intentional or not, only fuels the fire, driving ever more attention to a coin that may, or may not, exist in the way the legends claim, a coin that represents the edge of known numismatic science, the frontier of American minting lore, and the deepest instincts of collectors everywhere who dream of finding that one coin, that one perfect mistake, that turns an ordinary day into a life-altering discovery. And so we ask again, what if a small mistake made it the most valuable coin ever struck? What if the 2001 P. Jefferson nickel is not just a coin, but a key to a hidden chapter in American minting history waiting to be discovered by someone watching this very video? And if you're that person, if you hold in your hands the coin the world has been hunting for, you may be sitting on a fortune wrapped in nickel and copper, stamped with mystery and legend. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the next chapter in this mystery could begin with you. Next, 1988, D. Jefferson, where today's mystery might just change everything you thought you knew about pocket change, because what if a small mistake made the 1988 D. Jefferson nickel the most valuable coin ever struck in the United States? What if a coin so ordinary, so seemingly worthless, was hiding $1 billion secret in plain sight, a treasure that no one saw coming, born from a moment of error, lost protocol, and numismatic fate, quietly slipping through the U.S. Mint's fingers and into circulation like a ticking time bomb of value, waiting to be discovered by someone who simply took the time to look a little closer? What if this nickel, struck in Denver in 1988, carries within it the ghost of a misalignment so rare, a planchet mistake so statistically improbable, and a historical twist so bizarre that even the top experts in the coin world have struggled to make sense of its story? A story that begins with America's obsession with perfection in coinage, but suddenly spirals into a vortex of government oversight, mechanical failure, and whispers of deliberate sabotage, as mint records from the Denver facility that year show inexplicable gaps, production data anomalies, and internal audits that mysteriously vanished, suggesting something far more nefarious or unexplainable than anyone has dared to publicly admit. With former Mint employees anonymously confessing to strange occurrences during night shifts, machines jamming for no mechanical reason, dies breaking in, sequences that defied engineering logic, and bags of nickels sealed and shipped before any inspection could even occur, only for collectors decades later to uncover a handful of 1988 D nickels with features so outlandish they seem like numismatic science fiction, from wildly doubled profiles of Jefferson's portrait, to coins struck on foreign planchets, to missing mint marks altogether, and in one jaw-dropping case, a coin bearing a reverse meant for a completely different denomination. Sparking fevered debates in numismatic circles as to whether this was an error, an experiment, or a one-off phantom strike intended to test clandestine die pairs that, by all accounts, should not have existed, and yet have left behind undeniable physical evidence of their presence in the form of these coins, one of which recently surfaced at a Midwest estate sale, found in a dusty box labeled "Old Junk," and sold for 5 cents before the buyer realized the date and mint mark combination didn't align with any known standard issue, prompting a flurry of authentication tests, metallurgy analysis, and historical comparisons that all pointed to one chilling conclusion: this was no ordinary 1988 D. Jefferson nickel, it was something else entirely, something that shouldn't exist. A coin so unique and flawed that its very presence threatened to rewrite the accepted history of the U.S. Mint's practices in the late 1980s, a time riddled with budget cuts, workforce shuffles, and experimental shifts in production that many believe opened the floodgates to mistakes, unsanctioned trial strikes, and rogue pressings. And while official channels remain silent or dismissive, behind the scenes the coin community is in full-blown obsession mode, scouring eBay listings, estate sales, and pocket change in the hopes of spotting another 1988 D anomaly, with some collectors even reporting break-ins and threats after posting photos online of their finds, suggesting a black market. Interest in these flawed nickels that goes far beyond hobbyist enthusiasm, diving into a world of underground dealers, private vaults, and silent auctions where shadowy bidders throw down tens of thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands, of dollars for a single coin whose story is still being uncovered, layer by mysterious layer, with every discovered anomaly leading to even more questions than answers, including how one such coin appears to be struck in a metal blend no U.S. Mint had access to in 1988, leading to theories involving foreign planchet contamination or covert material testing done without oversight, while another specimen shows signs of being struck multiple times with different die sets, creating a ghost-like overlay effect that has no precedent in the entire Jefferson nickel lineage, baffling numismatists and mint historians alike, as they debate whether such errors were mechanical flukes or intentional sabotage carried out during the final years of the Cold War, when mints were tightening security but still vulnerable to internal missteps, and in the case of the 1988 D nickels, perhaps even inside jobs carried out by disgruntled or experimental mint workers who understood that a tiny deviation, a quiet switch, a subtle misalignment could birth a legend, a coin that collectors would one day treat as mythic, a holy grail hidden among billions of ordinary nickels. And now, decades later, as more anomalies emerge from collections, cash registers, and forgotten jars, the legend grows, fueled by Reddit threads, YouTube deep dives, and private collector groups sharing blurry photos of potential 1988 D unicorns, each detail scrutinized down to the micron, as authentication labs try to separate truth from wishful thinking. And yet the mystery only deepens, because some of these coins exhibit features not even modern technology can replicate, leading to speculation that certain presses were custom modified, that rogue dies were fabricated off the books, and that someone, or some group, inside the Denver Mint orchestrated a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic hoax or experiment that has now come to light in the most explosive way possible, all while official government archives remain oddly silent, redacted, or conveniently lost, leaving only the coins themselves and the fevered community of treasure hunters, historians, and obsessive collectors to unravel the truth, piece by mind-bending piece. And as we dig deeper, we find ourselves in a numismatic rabbit hole filled with dead ends, stunning coincidences, whistleblower testimonies, and physical evidence that defies every standard checklist of coin production. And with each new discovery, the value of these errors skyrockets, not because they're merely flawed, but because they tell a story, a forbidden story, one minted in secrecy, lost in bureaucracy, and rediscovered in awe. A story that has turned the 1988 D. Jefferson nickel from a throwaway coin into a legendary artifact of American history, one that continues to haunt auctions, ignite debates, and tantalize the imaginations of everyone from basement collectors to seasoned experts. So as you hold your breath and rummage through your change jar tonight, ask yourself, could you be the one who uncovers the next clue, the next mistake, the next $1 million mystery hiding in plain sight on the face of a humble nickel, because somewhere out there, the rarest, most valuable 1988 D. Jefferson nickel may still be waiting to be found, and it could be in your hand right now. So if this story thrilled you, intrigued you, and made you believe that hidden treasures really do exist, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more numismatic mysteries, and turn on the notification bell because the next unbelievable coin story might just be the one sitting in your pocket. Next, 2013 D. Jefferson, where today we unravel one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American numismatics. What if a small mistake, so subtle it slipped past countless eyes, turned an ordinary pocket change into the most valuable coin ever struck? What if buried in the chaotic mintage of 2013, amidst billions of nickels, there exists a 2013 D. Jefferson nickel so rare, so unbelievably anomalous, that its very existence challenges everything collectors thought they knew? The journey begins in Denver, 2013, a year when the U.S. Mint was pushing out Jefferson nickels at unprecedented speeds, over 450 million of them, most of which vanished into circulation without a second glance. But among them, whispers began to circulate, of a coin with the D mint mark, but struck on the wrong planchet, a coin with a misplaced mint mark, a coin with doubling so precise it looks deliberate, a coin that shouldn't exist, and yet, somehow does. How could a mint that has survived centuries of scrutiny, technological innovation, and military-grade precision allow such a monumental slip? Was it sabotage? An experiment gone rogue? Or was it something deeper, a hidden production anomaly buried under layers of bureaucratic silence and coinage protocols no outsider was ever meant to understand? As collectors stumbled across strange 2013 D nickels, some darker than usual, some weighing slightly off and others missing vital design elements, the obsession began, fueled by forums, late-night auctions, hushed trades at coin expos, and a frenzy among numismatists who knew this wasn't just another minor variety. Some pointed to coins struck on foreign planchets accidentally mixed in with domestic blanks, others swore they found evidence of reverse die clashes, and then came the real bombshell, a 2013 D. Jefferson nickel with a smooth edge, missing Monticello entirely, but clearly not worn down, rather, struck that way, as if an experimental die had been used just once before being destroyed. Theories spiraled, a rogue mint employee testing something unauthorized, a batch of coins meant for destruction accidentally released, or even a cover-up involving lost design modifications that were never meant to reach the public. Experts pored over these anomalies, from microscopic die markers to edge thickness, weighing them, photographing them, sending them for third-party grading, only to receive back cryptic verdicts, authentic but unexplained. Then came the shocking discovery, a pristine 2013 D nickel found in an old mint-sealed bag, perfectly preserved, but with the obverse featuring a design known only in early Jefferson prototypes from the 1940s, a design that should not have coexisted with modern dies, leading some to question whether the mint accidentally used a vintage die in a modern press, or perhaps someone with access to restricted tooling created an untraceable hybrid. Collectors began chasing every 2013 D nickel they could find, hoarding them in jars, scrutinizing them with jeweler's loupes, and documenting any irregularities, but no two errors were exactly alike. Some had die cracks running through Jefferson's cheek, others had partial date strikes, and a few displayed the eerie, floating building effect where Monticello seemed to levitate above the field. As prices skyrocketed, $500, $1,000, $7,000 for confirmed errors, tales emerged of people finding them in bank rolls, estate sales, even one reportedly in a casino slot machine return tray in Nevada. Yet, every new discovery raised more questions. Why were these errors not caught in quality control? Were they really accidental, or intentional trial pieces? And if intentional, who ordered them? Was there a secret die used for internal testing that slipped out? Was there a batch of coins printed with alternate alloys that altered their strike quality and appearance? Digging deeper, conspiracy-minded collectors found strange connections, mint records showing unusual metal purchases in late 2012, abrupt retirements of key Denver Mint staff in early 2014, and vague language in internal memos referencing anomalous test strikes. Even FOIA requests returned redacted documents, further fueling suspicions that something big was being buried. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a rare coin, it was about a crack in the foundation of trust in the mint's procedures, a moment where the veil was lifted just enough to see how fallible, or manipulated, the process could be. Veteran collectors who had seen every known error from off-center strikes to full blockage began to admit they'd never seen anything like this, and major grading companies quietly added notes to their 2013 depopulation reports without issuing public statements, a move that only made the market hungrier. Behind the scenes, high-end collectors began battling in private auctions, bidding tens of thousands for specimens with the most extreme anomalies, one with no visible mint mark, another with reverse elements shifted by an impossible degree, and still, the mystery grew. The 2013 D. Jefferson nickel, once just another coin in circulation, had become the holy grail of modern-era collecting, its backstory muddied by uncertainty, but made legendary by the sheer impossibility of its existence. Some believed the truth lay buried in a forgotten batch destroyed without record, others thought a handful were quietly given away as internal gifts, numismatic ghosts never meant to be seen. Yet they surface, piece by piece, and each time, the myth deepens. Was this the result of a mechanical failure? Human error? Or something deliberate, a coded message from someone inside the system with a collector's heart and a rebel's spirit? The theories only get wilder. Rumors of a stash of misprinted coins smuggled out during a renovation, of a former mint employee seen years later trading mysterious nickels at antique shows, of a locked vault in Denver containing coins too controversial to release. Then came the media attention, articles speculating about million-dollar price tags, documentaries half-produced and then mysteriously shelved, and coin dealers who were once skeptical now offering rewards for authentic examples. And through it all, collectors dig and dig, turning over every 2013 D they find, hoping to stumble upon the next mistake, the next clue, the next key to unlock what might be the greatest accidental, or intentional, coin release in U.S. history. Because what if this coin, this seemingly simple nickel, holds not just monetary value, but the proof that even in the most controlled, secure, and regimented systems, magic, or madness, can still slip through the cracks? What if its existence is the numismatic equivalent of a glitch in the matrix, a tiny rebellion against mass production, a whisper of the human element behind every press and die? The 2013 D. Jefferson nickel has become more than just a collectible, it's a legend in the making, a story unfolding with every new discovery, a tangible piece of mystery that invites you to question, to search, to believe that somewhere, tucked away in an old cash register or forgotten change jar, lies the next great anomaly waiting to be found. And if you ever hold it in your hand, just know, you're touching a riddle the mint never meant you to solve. So dive in, chase the mystery, and if you haven't already, like and subscribe, because this is only the beginning. Next 2012, D. Jefferson, where today's journey takes you into the heart of one of the most mystifying and electrifying stories in all of American numismatics, the 2012 D. Jefferson nickel, a coin that on the surface appears as ordinary as pocket change but may, in truth, conceal a tale so tangled in intrigue, so soaked in historical weight, and so infused with minting mysteries that it has captivated collectors, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike for over a decade. For what if a small mistake, a nearly imperceptible flaw in the minting process, transformed this otherwise overlooked 5-cent piece into the most valuable coin ever struck by the United States Mint, a treasure so rare that even the Smithsonian whispered about its implications behind closed doors, a coin that disappeared from circulation before it was ever supposed to exist, setting off a frenzy of speculation, secret investigations, and silent auctions that shattered expectations and sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, because the story of the 2012 D. Jefferson nickel is not just a tale of metal and machines, it's a labyrinth of unanswered questions, of extraordinary minting errors so subtle they escaped even the most advanced quality control systems, of ghost strikes and doubled dies, of off-metal planchets mistakenly fed into press lines meant for other denominations, of missing steps on Monticello's depiction that left experts scratching their heads, of weak strikes hinting at failing dies used far past their retirement, of machine doubling so perfect it mimicked rare hub doubling, of coins struck slightly off-center but bearing a chilling symmetry that suggested more than chance, of coins discovered with bizarre copper-toned halos around their rims suggesting possible improper alloy mixing or chemical anomalies within the Denver Mint supply chain, and beyond the errors lay the production anomalies. Whispers from former Mint employees about an undocumented shift change, a third shift experiment in press speed optimization gone wrong, unauthorized die polishing done in secrecy, a sudden spike in feeder mechanism failures, and rumors of dies reused from a rejected batch of 2011 coins that should have been destroyed but somehow found their way back into production, creating a limited run of 2012 D nickels bearing ghostly remnants of earlier designs barely visible under angled light or magnification, adding layers of enigma that defied easy categorization. And launched numismatic forums into chaos as collectors debated whether they were seeing real die clashes or mere toning illusions, while others unearthed coins with peculiar planchet weights, slightly heavier than the standard 5 grams, possibly due to a batch of foreign blanks mistakenly used in the Denver facility during a supply mix-up covered up at the time by internal documentation that has since mysteriously disappeared, leading to wild theories ranging from secret military contracts to off-the-books experimental mintage runs, and then came the legendary rarity, because only a few of these peculiar 2012 D. Jefferson nickels have ever been verified, certified, and documented, with most being found by sheer luck in pocket change or small-town bank rolls, suggesting either that the mint destroyed most of them upon discovering the problem or that they were spirited away by insiders who knew their true potential value, and each time one surfaces it sells not for hundreds or thousands but sometimes tens of thousands of dollars under the radar through private deals between elite collectors, sparking rumors of one coin selling for a staggering six-figure sum at an exclusive coin show in Chicago where no photographs were allowed and no public records exist, yet whispers still echo from dealers who were present that day and saw the exchange take place, and those stories have only intensified the obsession, leading to late-night hunts through hoarded nickels, coordinated national roll hunts, and forensic-level examinations using electron microscopes and metallurgical scans to uncover patterns invisible to the human eye, patterns that might tie back to a small production batch, possibly just a few thousand coins struck during a narrow window in early spring 2012 when temperatures in the Denver facility were anomalously high, affecting the metal flow and causing improper strikes that somehow made it past final inspection, or was it sabotage, a deliberate act by a disgruntled employee trying to create a legacy, planting errors that would live forever in collector lore, or perhaps it was the result of policy breakdown, when budget cuts and administrative turnover left the mint vulnerable to oversight failures, which created a perfect storm for one of the rarest and most valuable coin anomalies of the 21st century. And then the wildest twist of all, the possibility that these coins were part of a top-secret test run for a new nickel composition never meant for public release, a theory fueled by reports of unusual magnetic properties and microscopic inconsistencies in nickel-to-copper ratios that do not match any known formulation in official records, sparking new investigations and drawing in metallurgists, economists, and even conspiracy theorists who claimed the 2012 D. Jefferson nickel was the first domino in a secret government plan to change American coinage, a plan shelved after leaks and internal sabotage, but not before a few test coins escaped, slipping into circulation and igniting a nationwide treasure hunt that has not cooled in over a decade, because every time one is found, new questions arise. Why do some show faint doubling on Jefferson's eye? Why do others exhibit mysterious die cracks that resemble coded symbols? Why are certain examples unusually resilient to wear, maintaining sharp details despite circulation? And what about the coin found inside a forgotten vault in Colorado Springs during a bank renovation, sealed in a mint bag dated 2012 but containing nothing but 2012 D nickels, all showing minor variations in strike depth and reverse detail that have never been explained, or the janitor at a regional Fed Reserve branch who reportedly discovered one in a coin-counting machine and retired the next week, refusing interviews and disappearing from public view. And of course the expert opinions flood in, some numismatists calling it the most underappreciated rarity of modern times. Others warning that the hype might overshadow more subtle and legitimate discoveries, but all agreeing that something unusual happened in 2012 at the Denver Mint and that the 2012 D. Jefferson nickel is the key to unlocking that mystery, as even government officials have grown tight-lipped, refusing FOIA requests related to internal quality control logs from that period, citing national security in one bizarre case that has only fueled more speculation. And what about the collectors who claim they found versions of the coin with features never seen before, a rotated die error, a weak strike so soft it looks ghost-like, or a version missing the D mint mark entirely, as if someone attempted to erase all evidence of its origin, while auction houses quietly elevate their watch lists, and grading services report a sudden uptick in 2012 D submissions, treating each coin like a potential ticking time bomb of value, with whispers of private museums making offers before the coins can even hit public sale. And still the question remains, how many are out there, how many survived, how many are sitting in forgotten drawers, rolled away in coffee cans, or resting unnoticed in someone's change jar, and what if the one you find is the one, the error that ties all the other anomalies together, the coin that breaks the pattern and rewrites the book on American minting history? And as the story grows, fueled by forums, underground blogs, expert panels, and off-the-record interviews with former mint workers who now live in quiet retirement but hint at secrets never told, we must ask, is this coin a simple minting mistake or a breadcrumb in a trail of secrets spanning decades, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone who refuses to stop digging, someone like you? And if you've come this far down the rabbit hole, then hit that like button, subscribe for more stories that challenge what we think we know, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what could be the next clue in the greatest numismatic mystery of our time. Next, 1977, D. Jefferson, where today we pull back the velvet curtain on a story so electrifying, so steeped in mystery, and so drenched in suspense that it challenges everything we thought we knew about modern coinage. What if a single overlooked error during a routine minting process in 1977 transformed an ordinary Jefferson nickel into one of the most valuable coins ever struck? A 1977 D. Jefferson nickel that carries within its humble copper-nickel shell the weight of conspiracy, coincidence, and perhaps even intentional sabotage, a coin that vanished into circulation and re-emerged decades later like a ghost from the past, leaving behind a trail of whispers, redacted government documents, and numismatists who have risked reputations and fortunes chasing its elusive truth, because this is no ordinary 5-cent piece. This is the stuff of legend, where a single die misalignment, an unexpected alloy mix-up, or a double-struck minting mishap may have quietly birthed a coin worth millions. And as we dig through the layers of its enigmatic past, the historical context unfolds like pages torn from a thriller novel, with Denver mint workers in the late 1970s operating under immense production pressure, the U.S. economy riddled with inflation, coinage demands reaching historic highs, and rumors swirling about experimental planchets being tested and discarded improperly. So when one rogue batch of Jefferson nickels in 1977 bore subtle deviations, planchets slightly thicker than usual, devices misaligned just enough to throw off precision collectors, and a handful showing what experts now believe to be shadowy overstrikes of a foreign denomination, it lit a firestorm in the numismatic world, prompting whispers of a lost prototype batch, unauthorized test strikes, and even the shocking possibility of mule errors slipping through due to a swap in reverse dies. And while the average eye would see only a worn-out nickel, keen-eyed collectors began noticing that one coin in particular had a date that seemed ever so slightly doubled, a mint mark that appeared punched twice at conflicting angles, and an odd metallic hue that hinted at the wrong planchet being used altogether, setting off a treasure hunt spanning decades, with retired mint employees anonymously confirming in hushed tones that in 1977, a mysterious equipment malfunction led to thousands of coins being scrapped. And yet not all of them were accounted for, leading to speculation that a small batch of these flawed yet legally struck coins entered circulation unnoticed, their existence denied, records erased, and the value climbing with each new fragment of evidence unearthed by collectors whose obsession became lifeblood, combing flea markets, estate sales, and forgotten dresser drawers in hopes of finding the unicorn among nickels. And as the story deepens, so too does the intrigue, because one coin, discovered in a Midwest pawn shop in the late 1990s, tested anomalously high in silver content despite no official record of silver planchets being used that year, raising even darker questions about whether secret test strikes were conducted using leftover silver blanks from pre-1965 quarters, or whether the U.S. Mint had contracted out experimental metallurgy trials during the Cold War era that somehow merged into regular coinage runs. And when this coin surfaced again at a private auction in 2008 and was quietly purchased for a sum far beyond its estimated worth, the buyer's identity was shielded behind a wall of NDAs and shell corporations, fueling even wilder speculation that the coin may represent more than just an error. It might be a token from a classified operation, an emblem accidentally minted in the wrong place, or a numismatic artifact so rare that its true story has been buried beneath layers of bureaucratic secrecy. And numismatic experts from across the globe, from Tokyo to Berlin to New York, have weighed in, offering conflicting yet equally compelling theories about how such a coin could exist. Some claim it's the result of a die rotation gone unnoticed due to a fatigued quality control team at the Denver Mint in the summer heatwave of '77. Others propose that it was the byproduct of an intentional act by a disgruntled employee seeking to leave behind a legacy in metal, and still others believe that the coin is not from 1977 at all, but from a misdated die intended for an entirely different run, possibly commemorative or even foreign aid coinage redirected into domestic channels. And this theory gains traction with the tale of a coin dealer in El Paso who swears he saw, decades ago, a Jefferson nickel with reverse markings more closely resembling those of a Canadian 5-cent piece, a story dismissed until 2015 when a coin with similar traits appeared online, only to be taken down within hours and never seen again. And with each new twist, the legend of the 1977 D. Jefferson nickel grows more confounding, more alluring, as collectors trade stories in dimly lit hotel rooms at national coin shows, where rumors of one such coin trading hands for $2.3 million have only added kerosene to the fire, and some even speculate that the coin's true origin ties into a batch of experimental error coins minted as part of an internal U.S. Treasury training program that never saw the light of day, but somehow, through human error or deliberate mischief, found their way into pocket change, and as government archivists quietly refused to release files related to 1977 coinage anomalies, citing national security clauses, and as former mint directors refuse interviews on the record, claiming legal constraints, the myth only thickens, because what government agency places national security designations on obsolete 5-cent pieces unless there's something far more explosive hidden within the story? And then there's the jaw-dropping twist in 2020, when a collector from Wyoming submitted a 1977 D nickel for grading. And it returned not only with a double die obverse designation but with unexplained microscopic indentations forming a near-invisible pattern of numbers and letters, numbers that, when decrypted by a hobbyist cryptographer, corresponded with known coordinates to a decommissioned U.S. Mint facility in Nevada, adding a layer of spy-novel intrigue to what should have been a simple pocket change coin. And to this day, no one can definitively say how many of these anomaly-rich 1977 D nickels exist. With estimates ranging from fewer than 10 to a few dozen, and the fact that each newly discovered specimen shows a slightly different error, off-center strikes, partial collar strikes, overstruck foreign coins, or even rotated reverses, has led some to believe that we're dealing not with a single error, but a wide-reaching, multifaceted minting event that was never meant to be made public. And for every collector who claims to have seen one, there are dozens more who have spent years combing through hundreds of pounds of nickels, hoping to find the Holy Grail, because holding this coin is like holding a piece of forbidden history, a metallic fragment of a story so convoluted and so steeped in conflicting accounts that even the Smithsonian has privately expressed interest in obtaining one for forensic analysis, yet none of the known owners are willing to part with theirs, as if the coins themselves exert a mythic pull over their possessors. And perhaps the most shocking twist came when one such nickel, believed to be just another anomaly, was X-rayed and revealed what appeared to be layered stamping beneath the visible image, suggesting a coin struck over another coin, or possibly even over an uncirculated medallion meant for military use, and that discovery reignited theories that the coin was part of a covert operation, perhaps minted using discarded blanks from classified metal production, or even embedded with micrometallurgical markers for tracking in intelligence operations. And if that sounds outlandish, consider this. Multiple owners of these mysterious 1977 D. Jefferson nickels have reported being approached by unidentified individuals offering double their estimated value in cash on the spot, then disappearing, leaving behind only cryptic business cards or disconnected phone numbers. And one collector, now retired, claims he was warned not to publicly discuss the coin by what he described as men in federal uniforms who showed up at his home asking to borrow the coin for metallurgical testing. after which it was never returned and all documentation regarding the visit was mysteriously deleted from his security system, and so the question remains, what really happened at the Denver Mint in 1977, how many coins escaped, and what secrets do they still hold, and as the value of these enigmatic nickels skyrockets, with private sales rumored to eclipse the $1 million mark and underground collectors' circles forming solely around the pursuit of this coin, we're left to wonder whether the 1977 D. Jefferson nickel is merely the result of a strange convergence of minting errors, or something far more complex, layered, and intentional, perhaps a breadcrumb trail left by a forgotten engineer or a historical artifact of a program that never officially existed, and until the final coin is found, until the last unexplained marking is deciphered, the legend lives on, growing darker, deeper, and more irresistible by the day. So if you're still watching, still captivated, still wondering whether you might have one of these astonishing coins sitting unnoticed in a jar at home, then now is the time to look closer, dig deeper, and subscribe, because this mystery is far from over, and the next chapter could begin with you. Next, 2010 Jefferson, where today's story begins with a single, haunting question: what if a small, almost invisible mistake during a single production run at the Denver Mint in 2010 transformed an ordinary 5-cent piece into one of the most valuable and mysterious coins ever struck in the history of American numismatics? Imagine a coin so elusive, so layered in secrecy and riddled with anomalies, that its very existence was once denied by official sources, a coin born not out of design but from the unpredictable chaos of minting imperfection. This is the legend of the 2010 D. Jefferson nickel, a seemingly mundane coin hiding a tale of astonishing twists, government blunders, inexplicable errors, and collector obsession that defies logic and reason, a story buried under layers of bureaucratic silence and whispered among only the most dedicated numismatists who believe this coin is not just rare, it is a modern treasure with a value that could exceed hundreds of thousands, even millions, for those lucky enough to hold one, because deep within the heart of this 2010 D nickel lies a perfect storm of errors that should never have occurred, double dies so precise and yet so warped they appear like phantom shadows under magnification, off-center strikes that create crescent slivers of missing metal like a bite taken from the fabric of history, and even bizarre planchet defects where the nickel seems to have been pressed on the wrong metal entirely, leading some experts to believe that leftover blanks from decades past, possibly even silver wartime alloy from the 1940s, were accidentally fed into the machinery in a momentary lapse in protocol, resulting in Frankenstein-like hybrids that shouldn't exist in modern production, yet somehow slipped through undetected, raising suspicions of internal cover-ups and hurried damage control by mint officials who quietly removed records and denied anomalies to avoid public panic over the potential multimillion-dollar mistake. And as if that weren't enough, a handful of these coins were discovered thousands of miles from Denver, in obscure antique stores and private estates on the East Coast, sparking rumors that rogue employees may have smuggled early error batches into circulation or that these coins were part of an experimental trial run never meant to reach the public, a theory bolstered by confidential documents leaked in 2018 suggesting the U.S. Mint briefly tested new die configurations and alloys for the nickel denomination in 2010 under a top-secret initiative to cut production costs, which may have resulted in a number of anomalous pieces unintentionally released, and since then, every known specimen exhibiting these traits, be it a strange reverse die clash showing ghostly impressions of Monticello misaligned with Thomas Jefferson's portrait or the so-called floating roof error where architectural elements appear mysteriously detached, has sold for staggering prices in underground collector circles, with some even changing hands in private sales for more than $150,000 depending on condition and error prominence, and while many mainstream collectors remain unaware, those deeply embedded in the numismatic community treat the 2010 D. Jefferson nickel with the reverence of a holy relic, with some calling it the Phantom Nickel. Because its official mintage records show nothing out of the ordinary, and yet these extraordinary anomalies continue to surface against all odds, defying both logic and documentation, further fueling theories of suppressed knowledge and lost inventory logs from that fateful year. And there's even a circulating urban legend about a retired mint worker who, on his deathbed, confessed to seeing a tray of misprinted nickels being quietly removed from the production line and spirited away to a back room, never to be seen again, suggesting that the few examples found today may have been part of a hushed-up disposal gone wrong, leading to a modern-day treasure hunt spanning pawn shops, estate sales, and private collections across the country, as treasure hunters scour old jars and forgotten drawers for even a trace of the telltale dye errors, weight discrepancies, or color shifts that might signal they found the real thing. And one such story involves a boy in Kentucky who unknowingly spent one at a gas station, only for a sharp-eyed cashier to recognize something unusual about the coin's color and set it aside, later discovering it was one of the most pristine known examples of the off-metal strike error from 2010, eventually selling it through a private broker for a six-figure sum, sparking a frenzy of hopeful coin checkers in the region for months afterward. And yet the mystery deepens when you realize that the mint itself has refused to officially acknowledge any widespread issues from that production year, with representatives stating flatly that no significant anomalies were documented during 2010 nickel production at the Denver facility, despite mounting evidence to the contrary and growing pressure from the numismatic community to investigate, leading some to speculate that the cover-up may go even deeper, possibly tied to high-level supply chain errors or contractual breaches with the blank suppliers, and if true, such revelations would not only change the story of the 2010 nickel forever, but would rewrite the standards of modern coin authentication and expose flaws in the very system designed to maintain consistency and trust in American currency, because how can a coin with no acknowledged defects end up spawning dozens of verified anomalies, each more dramatic than the last, unless something went catastrophically wrong behind closed doors? And if such a catastrophic lapse occurred, why was it hidden, and who stands to benefit or lose from the truth being exposed? And this is where the story takes its most shocking turn, because some collectors have claimed to possess 2010 nickels struck with reverse dyes dated from 2009 or 2011, a physical impossibility under normal production guidelines, yet verified under high-resolution dye microscopy, suggesting an inexplicable time gap or reuse of scrapped tooling, adding a layer of science fiction intrigue to an already impossible tale, and every time a new variant is discovered, be it a mule error, a transitional composition, or a freak mechanical doubling, another piece of the puzzle falls into place, yet the full picture remains elusive, and perhaps that's what keeps collectors, researchers, and conspiracy theorists awake at night, not just the value, which is undeniably astronomical, but the sense that this coin is a window into a hidden history, a secret chapter in the legacy of the U.S. Mint that someone, somewhere, never wanted us to read, and now you, the viewer, have become part of this living mystery, holding the key to possibly identifying the next legendary example just sitting in your change, maybe right now, maybe overlooked in a box in your attic, maybe already in your pocket. So keep looking, keep questioning, and if you found this journey as thrilling and mind-bending as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we dig even deeper into the unbelievable world of America's rarest coins.